Benefit from our small class sizes, free tutoring, internship planning, faculty mentors, and so much more. Come experience our accepting, supportive college family for yourself. Schedule your campus visit and apply at ccsj.edu.
But it's kind of, listen, you gotta catch up.
Yeah. I'll catch up with you. I'll be right back.
I'll see you in a minute.
Anything else? Yeah.
Well, what's up, boy?
Hey, Ryan. Not tonight, man. Not tonight. Oh, yeah. You guys are right. Hey, come on. Let's go. Come in.
Hello, everyone. This is Tina Chip, and I am a co-host of Region Angels. You may have heard about us. Maybe you are a subscriber on our YouTube channel. Gloria Gogo Morris has started this podcast live radio show quite a while ago, and she asked if I would help her out so we can even highlight even more Region Angels. So Region Angels is about folks, maybe it's an individual, maybe it's a business, someone making a difference in our own hometown. And today, without further ado, I'd like to introduce a Region Angel that I was connected with from Denise, who is a lifelong friend of mine, Deanne. And without further ado, why are you sitting across from me? What do you have going on?
Well, I have had the privilege since 2010 for working for the school city of Hobart and a program called Brickies from the Start. So originally, Brickies from the Start was started as a Parents as Teachers program, which is a national, federally recognized home visitation program.
Okay.
It was started with a grant from the Indiana Department of Ed and local businesses and donors that supported it. And it was all because Dr. Buffington, our superintendent, recognized that we needed to help families of young children and help young children grow. Because I don't know if you know this or not, Tina, but most of brain development happens in the first 3 years of life. And so when we don't actually start until pre-K, we're missing the majority, yes, of brain development. And so Dr. Buffington, who's also been known for a lot of innovative projects, decided to do this. And you know, it's innovative here in Indiana, but I wanted to let you know that this is something that I have done in other states where it's actually a part of a combined effort of social services administrations and the Department of Education that fund and understand that the birth to 3 category and birth to 5 is so important that they fund it through their state funding. So, and also another reason why we exist is that parents need resources.
Yes.
And about 25% of children in our country are at risk for a developmental delay. And the most important thing that we can do is early intervention, to intervene while they're still young. And the brain, again, because most of brain development happens in the first 5 years of life, the brain is most pliable for during that first 3 years, and so that's why early intervention is so important.
So this is done in Hobart through. By the way, do you know Nikki Bunda Neely?
I sure do.
I went to school with her. I love her. She's
yeah.
awesome.
She's at our middle school.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell her I said hi.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
She's a sweetheart. So, you know, it's so true because I think we assume babies can't talk. All they do is eat and sleep. So what really can they learn? I know for me personally, with my family and my children, ever since they were little, I would read to them, do things like that. But how do you intercept? How do you provide these services? Because you don't want to do it when it's too late. And if that's a crucial period, is this something that the schools are letting? Is this just at Hobart? Or what about Crown Point? What about Maryville? Is this something that other people How can people even be a part of the program?
Well, these are great questions. And
Sorry, I bombarded you. Let's
No.
do one at a time.
So we do this through a variety of ways. When we first originally began, we were entirely based in home visitation, and we had a staff of about 6, and we were able to sustain probably 100 to 200 families a month that we were visiting. And we would visit them once or sometimes twice a month and provide the parents as teachers curriculum. So but that program was hard to sustain financially. Home visitation is very expensive because you're investing a great deal of time of a professional, but it's also one of the most effective tools as well. So we have had to evolve over the years to be able to sustain the program. And we had to add in a center-based program, which we have a community playroom so that parents can come to us as well. So we have a certified parent educator in every playroom experience. It's open 3 days a week. And
Where are these playrooms?
it's all at the School City of Hobart at the
Okay.
Early Learning Center. So this particular program, because of how we're funded, has to be within the City of Hobart or 46342. We're entirely funded by local donors and grants.
Wow.
So we our program has to reflect the outcomes and the goals of the various funders and grantors that help us do this program. There have been, I am a part of, we started I think a year ago, we started a Northwest Indiana Early Learning Collab with several other school corporations, Crown
Okay.
Point Community Schools, Maryville Schools, Duneland Schools. However, with the recent budget cuts of SCA 1, Crown Point has recently had to dissolve that Birth to 3 program. And at this point, Crown Point is the only one. I'm sorry, Duneland is the only other one that has a Birth to 3 program here in the region that I am aware of. Mental Health America does home visitation, and so that is open to all of Lake County and some of Porter County. So if people are outside of Hobart, they can also contact them. And my understanding is that they often have a wait list. That is a primarily home visitation program, but they do offer other programs and services too. But our program is based, again, mainly for the 46342. And we've had to, like I said, evolve the program to continue to provide family support. Our goal is that families can enjoy one another, and how they do that so that children can really thrive, and that every child in every neighborhood of Hobart can thrive, and the families can thrive. What does that mean? Well, it means maybe talking to a parent who just lost their job and trying to help them find resources or refer them to other community partners. It may mean helping do developmental screenings and helping a parent who is worried about their child and referring them for services as well. So we act kind of like a community connector.
It's almost, I don't want to say support group, but a networking group, and people may have different needs that need to be met. And this is an amazing model. Is this something, though, you think can be replicated easier or easy for other areas to maybe want to do it? Because, right, why reinvent the wheel if something works so well?
Yeah, I think what is unique about what we do and what Duneland does is that we're directly tied to a school corporation. And what advantage that gives us is that we have that direct connection, so that our goal is to make that transition easy and smooth, and that parents are already involved. Children are already see that as their school and their community long before they go to kindergarten. There are parts of what we do that would be easy to replicate, but the funding portion is challenging for all. And with public school systems struggling for funding, it is difficult for them to find that. But it really is through invaluable partners, grants, and local people that help support this that can make it possible.
So how long has this program been in existence? How many years?
Since 2009.
Wow. So you have outcomes data, meaning that it's been around long enough you could see, because if 2009, 0 to 3, here we are,
Yes.
right, 17 years later.
We do. We have seen every year. Like, for example, our playroom has been open in the last 4 years, and we have had 1,500 people come through that playroom each year for the last 3 years. And each of those families, we set goals. So about our goal is about 60% of each of those families will have completed or fulfilled a goal. About 60% of those families will have received some sort of resource that we have referred them to. And those are the things that we are looking for each year and have been able to do for the last 5 years. But what I also want to tell you is another thing that we do is we examine what's happening to kids as they transition into kindergarten. And last year we just did some data, looking at some of our data, and we realized that last year's third graders, we looked at how they came in kindergarten compared to how they were doing in third grade. And we know from using a screener, an assessment tool that we use before they come into kindergarten, that if a child is struggling before they come into kindergarten, they will struggle all the way through to third grade. And in fact, about 98% of kids who were at risk coming into kindergarten either needed an IEP, I did not pass the iRead 3, or needed MTSS and additional help to be able to make that happen. And so we have learned through our work that we need to continue on doing what we're doing so that, again, we can reach those kids before they come into kindergarten so they're not struggling all the way through.
So have you seen kids doing better with iRead? So for some of the people listening or watching us, whether it's through our YouTube channel, WJOB on the radio right now, Individual Education Plan is an IEP. So that is to give that student assistance, maybe certain accommodations for class. But what if someone doesn't pass iRead? Do they move on to, like, what's the intervention there? Because obviously by third grade, if they're not passing iRead, there's something else going on, right?
I must confess to you that that
It's
is not
confessions on WJOB.
that is not
Live.
my area of expertise, because I do the birth to 5. But one of the things that I learned last year was I was amazed at the amount of intensive intervention that is going on with children and how many of them do end up passing. So I was looking at, did they struggle? Did they need extra interventions? But the majority of those kids that they were talking about did end up passing because of the extreme work that they have done, that teachers are doing. They are working really hard, and they are making a difference, and we are seeing kids be successful. So there's a difference between we're seeing that they need the interventions, but then once we have the interventions, that they are achieving success. And I want to say that part of the reason why we believe in Birth to 5 is because your return of investment is much greater. What we're trying to do, I was at an early learning conference a few months ago with a lot of state early intervention people, early childhood people, and what they're working to do to try to help people understand is that investment in Birth to 5 goes a lot further than when we have to invest in second grade, third grade, because their brains are much more pliable earlier on. And so it is a different way of thinking, and I am so grateful that School City of Hobart has given us this opportunity to do this. It is hard to come up with specific outcomes about children and families because there are so many different factors. So we don't have the research to say this exactly has caused, but we do know anecdotally that our program has made a great difference. And so we look at, we have a lot higher numbers of kids who get early intervention services who are involved in our developmental preschool in the school city of Hobart, because we are finding those children and we are getting early intervention services, which directly means that some of these children can then integrate into the classrooms without needing a different setting or a structured classroom of some sort, which in turn, again, saves the school and the state money, as well as makes a huge difference in the lives of children.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to be, to your point, later on in the school curriculum and then realizing they are faced with certain maybe learning disabilities or challenges that if we start from the 0 to 5, by the time they get into the school system, you already know maybe some of their struggles, you have those interventions. But I guess what can another, like if a parent is listening, someone else who has someone in that age range, what can they do? Do you have a website, a link where there's some things they can do at home? Or I know you mentioned Mental
Health America.
But there's a waiting list. So beyond that,
yeah.
if someone wants to advocate for their own family.
Absolutely. So a couple of things that we are working on. We just recently, the city of Hobart is becoming, in April, we're going to launch a Talking is Teaching community.
Okay.
That is a national organization whose goal is to say to parents, we just want you to talk, read, and sing to your child.
Oh, sing.
Yes.
But what if you have a
read,
bad
and
voice?
sing. It does not matter.
I can dance.
In fact, I have this wonderful memory of being a child and looking up at my mother while she was singing and thinking that she had the most beautiful voice in the world. I need to tell you, as an adult, my mom now laughs because she does not have a beautiful voice, but a child is very attuned to their mother's voice. And so that's why talking, reading, and singing is so important. And one of the wonderful things about technology is that we have lots of access to resources and information. The other challenge is that we are all a bit distracted. And so we are finding that children, we have been working with an organization called Lena Grow here in the state of Indiana, and we're about ready to do a research project with them through Lena Grow in our pre-K classroom to actually measure the kinds of verbal interactions that are happening, because we know number of conversational turns equates into language development. And not only that, Tina, what's even more important is it equates into emotional regulation, so that we have seen a change in behaviors in our children. And we researchers are more and more able to see how lack of conversational turns and verbal interaction and co-regulation is impacting a child when they get to school. And so if there is one thing that I could say to all parents, you don't need a program like ours, although I love to say that it's great.
Right.
But you can just talk, read, and sing to your kids.
I like it.
When I first started in this program in 2010 was when I came on board. We used to be really focused on getting them to learn all their letters and letter sounds. And
Think about what the tests are for kindergarten.
Yes.
Do you know your alphabet? Large, small. I mean, it's.
And it's true. We still want that. But
Can we bring back cursive though? Teaching cursive?
Again, that's beyond my pay grade, and out of my realm. We don't do cursive in birth to 5. But what I would say is that if you were talking, reading, and singing to your child, a lot of that other stuff, that academic stuff that people are really focused on, will come about because you're doing that naturally. The first 3 letters my son ever learned, by the way, were CVS. And I love to tell that story because he was like 18 months old, and we would just go to CVS and his little stroller, and every time we go, I go, oh, look, Corbin, it's CVS. And one day he goes, Mommy, DVS.
DVS.
And that was those were his first letters. And I love to tell that story because you don't need a workbook. Right. You don't need another app on your iPad. You don't need a teacher. You are your child's first and best and most important teacher. And that it can happen in everyday life. I tell people when you stop at a stop sign, STOP says stop. It's a part of just everyday interactions with our children. And Tina, what's so great about that is that's a lot more fun than any workbook. Children, especially birth to 5, are not meant to learn from an app or a workbook. They're meant to learn from you as an adult caregiver.
Well, and I remember back when I had our first child, I used to be in mental health, and all the, I would call on inpatient, outpatient, child, adolescent psychiatry, and they would all tell me, this is 21 years ago, don't let your kids be in front of TV, because we didn't have all this other stuff.
Right.
So they said under the age of 2, no screens at
Yes.
all, which I followed. But now I feel like I walk into the grocery store, I go into a restaurant, like this 0 to 5, they're with an iPad, they're with their phone. And what a disconnect. What's the recommendation there for parents? I know they say, well, I'm busy or that, but we're losing that piece that you said, sing, talk, read.
Yes. So I will tell you, Tina, that I am so grateful that I was a little bit older and I didn't have a cell phone and an iPad when my kids were little, because there is no judgment from me towards parents when I see them in the grocery store. It is hard when you have a child who could be tantruming, and it's just really simple to hand that device. But what is happening there is that children are learning to just get a dopamine burst versus learning to calm down and regulate.
Which talks about that regulation you talked about.
Right. And so that's why I believe that the research is showing that the number of conversational turns being increased actually increases social and emotional regulation. Because you have a parent, instead of handing the device to keep them calm or distracted, you actually have them helping. Oh, that's really hard. Let's take some deep breaths together. I know you really want that toy, but mommy's not going to be able to buy that for you today. Let's breathe together. You're actually, if parents can remember, they're building brains. That's what they're doing. When a baby is born, the reason why they only sleep and have basic functions is because there are very few neural networks at that point in time. Very few. And over those next 3 years is when we build everything. So just like they're learning to walk and crawl and everything else, they're also learning to regulate those big feelings and emotions in their brain, and they're building all of those connections. So the AAP, or the American Academy of Pediatrics, now has updated that recommendation, still starting at 2 and up, from it's 2 hours a day. Is the
with anything that has a screen, whether it's a TV,
any type of screen. They now say at 18 months, they do say an hour at 18 months with an adult. So like if you want to watch Miss Rachel, or you want them to watch Miss Rachel, that's okay. Just do it with them. So that then there's an adult who's helping with that. And this is hard. I recognize, I don't think anybody learns from saying, don't do that, right?
Right.
There's a lot of guilt that parents are feeling. People are struggling a lot of things. And so what we're trying to focus on in the city of Hobart, and I hope that this catches across the region, is the talk, read, and sing.
So talk, read, and sing.
Asking
How
parents.
often? Like, you can't do it all day long.
No, there is another organization, and I know this is going to seem really simple. This is called Just 10 Minutes a Day.
Okay.
And it's actually just10minutes.org, I believe. If you don't quote me on that exactly, but if you look up Just 10 Minutes a Day, there's an organization that's asking parents just to take 10 minutes, where they don't do anything else but give their child undivided attention. And that if we can, they're doing research to say, to show how much that can make a difference if we just ask 10 minutes out of the parents. And I hope that 10 minutes would build upon itself, because research also shows that parents do enjoy that interaction. And children
When
absolutely.
There's no distractions. Like that 10 minutes. I just ordered for my family this box that you put phones in.
Yeah.
And we've always had no electronics Sunday since the kids were little. We're on Sunday, no electronics. And, you know, I hear later that friends didn't want to come over, or when they did come over, they know they actually had to interact with one another, not just be, you know, gaming or anything, but just to give our brain, even as adults, I mean, the whole scrolling, and we set the example for our children, right? So I'm trying to really back. So I say, I don't tell, what is it? I don't tell you what to do. I do as I say, or I don't know.
You try
My
to-
husband makes fun of me. I always get those things wrong.
You try to model what you're talking about,
Right.
I think is what I
Right.
hear you saying. And I don't want to put something out there that just feels like an unattainable goal to
Right.
families.
10 minutes. I love
And
10
so
minutes.
and I also feel like we all do better when we just have something fun that we have a goal for.
Right.
Let's talk, read, and sing for 10 minutes a day with our children. And so that's where our program really comes into play, of trying to get that information out, but also provide resources. I am surprised at how many families do not have access to books. And it
Does
is
Dolly Parton still do that? Where
they
she sends
do,
free
and so
books?
that is something that I want to
remember
give a shout out to, the Dolly Parton program. If you go to Lake County Library, they will get your child signed up, and you can get a free book every month. And so that is a very important program, and we do get people signed up for that. We also have grants that provide books, and so we have free book Thursday morning playroom, and we give out books every Thursday morning to children so that they can build their libraries. And those things are very important because parents sometimes are worried about investing money into books for young kids because they're going to. By the way, it's okay if your child messes with the book. Are you okay, Tina?
I am sorry. I think I have a frog in my throat.
Yeah. And I do want to make sure, Tina, that I give a shout out to our grantors that are so important. This year we
I'm all
have.
choked up.
Yeah, she's very passionate about wanting to get us reading and singing and talking to these
I'm
kids.
getting my vocal cords ready.
So we have 3 main grants that we are working under, as well as some key partners who have supported us. But the Lake County Health Department has funded us for Healthy Hobart, and that has enabled us to do some free vaccine clinics, because we do, and particularly in Hobart, and I don't know about this information around the region, but in Hobart we only have one pediatrician, and she no longer accepts new patients.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what that's like in different areas of the region, but I know what it's like in Hobart. So that means when we have families who don't have as much transportation, many families are just using one car that they share. It becomes more difficult for them to get to the doctor and to get those vaccines. And so the health department has a mobile vaccine clinic that we are partnering with, and just making sure that they don't lack the access to those things that can be life-saving for kids. They also are enabling us to do developmental screenings and home visitations for our highest needs families, maybe families who don't have transportation. They can't come to us, so we get to go to them. So just to give you some numbers, we also did some parent workshops this year, and that was partly from a parent education child abuse prevention grant that we received from Geminis Community Partners. And we did car seat check safety, gun safety, infant safe sleep, toddler behaviors, infants and babies. I don't know if you know this or not, Tina, but the number one killer of children in the state of Indiana is guns.
Oh, gosh. That's
And so number 2 is drowning. So we wanted to make sure that we provided some information to families. So we did a Touch a Truck event in the fall, and we had our local police department come out, and we provided gun locks for anyone that needed them or wanted them.
So this is like amazing, like so many resources. I probably could have another 30 minutes with you on the show. Unfortunately, we've come to the end. But if there is a go-to website for any of this information, what would that be, Deanne?
If you go to www.hobart.k12.in.us Brickies from the Start, you can go to our website and learn more about that information. I want to add one quick thing. Next Saturday night, we have a big fundraiser of the year called Galentine's event, and it's going to be at Hobart Middle School. And if you go to Facebook and look up Brickies from the Start, School City of Hobart, Brickies from the Start, you'll see all about that. That is open to anyone across the region, and all of that money is going to go to support our program.
That's
and
awesome.
so we
Okay,
would encourage you all.
Galentine's.
A
I love it.
Galentine's Day.
All right. So thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for WJOB, Jim Deedlow, for making this possible for Region Angels. If you know someone who's a Region Angel, someone who's making a difference, please contact us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Region Angels. Like us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.